Let's talk about one of the biggest scandals in the history of music. A story so wild, it literally rocked the entire industry. But here's the crazy part. The exact same thing that caused this massive scandal is happening right now with some of the biggest pop stars in the world, and nobody seems to care. One. That's it. In the entire long history of the Grammy Awards, only a single award has ever been taken back. That fact alone should tell you just how huge the Milli Vanilli scandal really was. This wasn't just some small mistake. It was seen as a fundamental betrayal that just shook the music business to its core. So, how did we get here? How did we go from a career-ending crime to just standard practice for some of the biggest names out there? Well, to figure that out, we first have to understand the lie that brought a whole pop empire crashing down. Let's get into it. All right, first, let's go back in time. Picture it, the late 1980s. We're talking big hair, neon colors, and this band that just seemed to explode out of nowhere and take over the entire planet, Milli Vanilli. Now, the mastermind behind this whole pop illusion was a German producer named Frank Farian. And he had this simple, kind of brilliant formula, right? Find performers who looked like superstars and then secretly pair them up with singers who sounded like superstars. Rab and Fab, they had the look, the charisma, the killer dance moves. They had everything, except the voices. So Farian just hired the real singers to record in secret, and the trap was set. And you know what? For 2 years, that illusion was absolutely unstoppable. They sold millions and millions of albums. They won that Grammy for Best New Artist. I mean, they were literally on top of the world. Until one night on live TV, the whole machine just broke. The backing track started skipping, repeating "Girl, You Know It's" over and over again. Rob panicked and ran off stage. It was the first tiny crack in this perfect facade, and from there, it was only a matter of time before the whole thing just came crashing down. The reaction from the public was just visceral. Fans felt personally lied to. I mean, think about it. They'd bought the albums, they'd gone to the concerts, they had posters of these guys on their walls. To them, this wasn't just a manufactured band. It felt like a manufactured reality. And they felt like total fools for falling for it. And this is where the story gets really tragic, because you have to remember the human cost. Rob and Fab weren't just canceled, they were vilified. They became the poster boys for being fake, painted as these evil con men. The pressure was just unbearable. Rob Pilatus spiraled into depression and addiction, and eventually he lost his life. It's such a heartbreaking end to a story that really started as this fun pop music fantasy. So that was then a huge cautionary tale. A scandal so big, you'd think everyone in the music industry learned their lesson, right? Well, not exactly. You would think, right? I mean, in our hyper-connected, always online world, a secret this big would be absolutely impossible to keep. There's no way an artist could build a massive career on someone else's voice. Could they? Let's start with a big one. Jennifer Lopez, a global superstar, a multi-platinum recording artist, whose biggest, most iconic hits are reportedly built on the voices of other singers. Then you've got Selena Gomez, another massive star who has pretty consistently faced questions about her actual vocal contributions on her records, with tons of insiders suggesting she gets significant help from uncredited singers. And yep, even the princess of pop herself, Britney Spears. Throughout her absolute peak, it was pretty much one of the industry's worst-kept secrets that other vocalists were often used to strengthen and sometimes even replace her voice on her tracks. You see the pattern here? This isn't some rare exception. Let's zoom in on the J.Lo case, because the receipts are pretty specific and well-documented. On her smash hit Play, that powerful chorus you're hearing, that actually belongs to Christina Milian. And for those huge remixes of I'm Real and Ain't It Funny, the lead vocals were performed by a young, completely uncredited Ashanti. And let's be super clear, we're not talking about some background oohs and ahs, we're talking about the main, hook-singing lead voice you hear on the song. And here's the thing. It's an open secret. When a rival artist, and not just any artist, we're talking Mariah Carey, makes a comment this direct, it tells you everything you need to know. The industry knows, the journalists know, and yet there's no scandal, there's no public outcry. So what on earth changed? Okay, so this is the real question, isn't it? How did we go from the public shaming and utter career destruction of Milli Vanilli to a collective shrug when it comes to some of today's biggest pop stars? The answer is a mix of technology and, well, us. It really starts with technology and specifically with one invention, autotune. At first, it was just designed to gently fix a wrong note here or there, but it quickly became a tool to completely reshape vocals from the ground up. All of a sudden, you didn't really need a perfect singer. You just needed a decent take that a producer could polish into absolute perfection. The power in the studio began to flip. And this led to a massive cultural shift. Think about the 2010s. The biggest stars in music weren't singers, they were producers. Avicii, Calvin Harris, David Guetta, everyone knew they didn't sing on their own tracks. The vocalist became just another instrument, a featured artist, another component of the producer's brand. That old idea of the singer being the singular, essential author of a song, it just started to fade away. So why don't we care anymore? Well, first, there's social media. Fans don't just connect with the music, they connect with the artist's personality, their life, their whole brand. Second, a hit song today might have 10 writers and 4 producers. When making a song is that collaborative, is the lead vocal really that sacred anymore? And finally, let's be honest, we live in a culture of filters. We totally expect our online reality to be perfected and polished. Authenticity has become this fuzzy, kind of old-fashioned concept. So this brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. In this new world, what's the real price of all this manufactured perfection? What have we actually lost along the way? Think about the voices that are just truly unique. Johnny Cash, Adele, Kurt Cobain. You hear one single note, and you know exactly who it is. Their voices carry their history, their pain, their joy. They're like fingerprints, totally irreplaceable and impossible to fake. That is the kind of authenticity we risk losing. At its heart, there's always been this unspoken promise in music, right? We believe that the person we see on the album cover is the person we're hearing through our headphones. When that contract gets broken, we lose more than just a piece of entertainment. We lose a little bit of that genuine human connection. And maybe this is the most important takeaway of all. The Milli Vanilli scandal was so explosive because it happened at a time when we still believed things should be real. When finding out something was a fake felt like a shocking betrayal. And that innocence, for better or for worse, seems to be gone. It seems like we've gotten so used to being sold illusions that we've maybe stopped demanding the truth. Milli Vanilli didn't just expose a scam in the music industry, they unknowingly exposed a turning point in our culture, the moment we started to accept that the feeling of authenticity might be more important than the real thing. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world of filters and deepfakes, what does real even mean anymore?